to show you how to play StamDK for those of you who do not know how. Maybe you're a PvE player and you're dipping into PvP. Maybe you're just a new player in general. Maybe you've just never played StamDK. This is how I play StamDK on my current build, Odin's Fury. Show you my sets real quick. In New Moon, this could be potentates, whatever you want to run. You know, poison, small, front bar, Nernhone, 5-piece medium, 2 blood spawn, eternal vigor, use jewelry. Alright. So, way a build like this works is, obviously you're gonna always keep your buffs up. And by that I mean, for example, in your Ardent Flame, gonna give you increased damage with your poison dots. Okay. When you have your poison up, it's gonna be your poison gives you stam sustain as well. For Magicka, if you choose to use, you know, say Engulfing Flame, it's gonna give you the Magicka sustain from it too, from the burning side effect. As well, whenever you deal damage with your Ardent Flames, you're snaring them, keeping them in place. That's why, me personally, I put in my dots first, because it slows them down so that way I can land my D-swings. It does increase your damage over time with your Noxious Breath and your Venomous Claw, 33%, and your Dragonknight Standard, if you choose to use it. Of course, with that, Venomous Claw and Noxious Breath, it's going to improve your damage overall. Just not because of the 33%, just that. But Venomous Claw scales on a percentage the longer it's in. So dealing 20% more damage every 2 seconds. When it's increased by 4 seconds, it's increasing the damage quite a bit. That's actually like a 70% increase. So you really want that to really tick and fall off on a higher health target or a harder to kill target. It does increase your damage of flame area of effect abilities. It does revert to Noxious Breath, lowers your stam cost of all your poison abilities. Affects your poison injection, you know, venomous arrow, stuff like that. Increase the amount of damage you block. That's why a lot of DKs use sword and board. Really mitigates a lot of damage. Draconic power abilities. While they're active, you get 12% more healing done. That's why I always stress with volatile armor, always keep it up. Resistance buff, and it's increasing your healing by 12%. Applies to Dragon Blood. With this build, you can use Dragon Blood, so 8% increased healing on top of the 12%, that's 20% total for 20 seconds. Increases your health recovery. Again, we're using Eternal Vigor, so for each Draconic power ability slotted, 5% increased health recovery. Stam decays, we get increases the range of your melee attacks by 2 meters. It affects Mag DK's whip, but for the most part, Stam DKs are getting more benefit out of this than Mag DKs. Granted, this only does apply to instant cast attacks with a 5-meter range. When you look at your Eternal Mountain passive, increases your Earth and Heart abilities by 20%. This used to be higher back in one Tamriel, but that's why a lot of us hold our ults for burst or for really crappy situations. Because it's a source of sustain, it's a big pretty decently sized hill, depending on the ult that you use. So that's pretty nice as well. Cast an Earth and Heart ability, you give minor brutality to you and your group, and increases weapon damage by 10%. Also gives you 3 ultimate while in combat. So that's why a lot of Stam DKs and Mag DKs are always casting Fossilize, or you see some Stam DKs use Stone Giant, or Fragmented Shield, increasing your healing done. Well, you're also giving yourself 10% weapon damage. You're also gaining ult. Like, really helps. Cast a non-stamina Earth and Heart ability, you get 990 stam back. So, casting that gets you close to 1k stam back. Ult gen. Major mending. Like, it's insane. We're getting into abilities, trying to explain how people do it on Stam DK. This is kind of our oh crap button. When you get low health and you slap this into a vigor and a cauterize or a rally, you can get it off fast enough. Even that rally, a half tick, is gonna fully heal you. But that's why we use it as a source of ult gen, stam sustain, weapon damage buff for us and the group, and major mending. If you're not using it on a Stam DK, you're wrong. It needs to be used. You choose to use Fossilize. It's unblockable, undodgeable stun. So it's one of the best stuns in the game. They get stunned and rooted in it. So always great to use. Corrosive armor. What else to say is there? Like, you're ignoring all physical resistance. It's a poison dot, a pretty decently sized poison dot every second. And all damage is mitigated by down to 3% of your max health for the next 12 seconds. It's a brutal ult. Thing is, it's hard to get that much ult in combat on a Stam DK. Like, on a decent build, to be that tanky. Get it. Open world, you can easily do it. Say doing Battlegrounds or something like that. Yeah, you can do it. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to get more efficiency, in my opinion, out of using like Dragon Leap or Dawnbreaker in comparison to Corrosive Armor. That used to be the old dot meta Stam DK way, was you would reverb them into or use this into reverbs and stuff like that, and all the dots would bypass the physical resistance. Now it just applies that direct damage. They've changed it of late, so Take Flight, obviously your main burst ult, you know, it's area stun, it's area attack, like, it's a gap closer, 115 ult, 8-meter radius, 28-meter range. There's a reason why it's been used for so long. Already explained the volatile armor. Green Dragon Blood, not many Stam DKs use it. It can be a game changer if you use it correctly, though. Protective Plate. Feel like, you know, you're taking a lot of range damage. Try to incorporate this into your build. It's a snare immunity as well, so it's not big, but you'll notice that projectile damage getting reduced. Shifting Standard. I don't see many Stam DKs use this. There's a handful, but not many. Main damage over time, one of the strongest dots in the game, so in my opinion, there better be a good reason you're not using this dot. Better be a specific build or something like that. One of these two dots should always be ran, no matter the build. Noxious Breath is the one that most people use, guaranteed, just due to the major fracture and an AoE. And it's a decent dot. I mean, a 19,000 in total damage. Like, I'm not even buffed. Dot is great. Cauterize does scale with your highest stat now. You know, it's been changed of recent patches, so having this on a StamDK who already is tanky through healing for the most part is awesome. And the fact of the group utility that it's a Magicka Vigor for DKs pretty much, just bouncing around, is awesome. 28 meter range. Alright, getting into the combo on this build. Obviously you're going to keep your buffs up. I use my elude whenever I'm facing people like StamDKs to better sustain, because you really don't need this against, like, say, a StamDK. The only AoE we have is Take Flight and the initial damage of Noxious Breath. Other than that, most of the time we're dot builds or direct damage burst builds. So, using elude is not being optimized. Against the Templar, they got a lot of AoE. Stamden, a lot of AoE. Necro, their main spammable is an AoE. So having this really reduces a lot of the damage, and you'll be surprised on how much more survivable you will be by keeping that up. Keep your Cauterize up, keep your Vigor up. If you are in a real defensive situation and you're having to peel back, make sure you line of sight around a corner or something, cast that, stomp into a Vigor. If you can pull it off, hit that rally burst heal. If, say, you're low on stam, you can always stomp into a Cauterize, rally. If you're low on stam and you need that immediate stam for a Vigor or a rally, you can stomp. You can hold block and stomp. Just make sure whenever you're healing, you have your spikes in your back and you're trying to line of sight or something like that. Those two mechanics alone as a defensive rotation will keep you alive through some massive pressure. Getting into burst combo, how I do it on this current build that I run, I like to close the distance and think of your Noxious Breath in an AoE. Point that it's a cone. I stand this far back, and that's normally the distance. See, like, this is your max distance. I like to get right about here and judge it. And it normally hits in a cone right about like this. So everybody in this general area is going to get hit by that dot and that fracture. So to optimize that, I normally tend to Noxious Breath into the group, into a heavy attack, Venomous Claw on my first target. He's now off balanced, into elite. So I'm gonna go over that one more time now that I have my ult. closing distance into a noxious breath, heavy attack venomous claw, off balance into elite execute. You want to always make sure you're light weaving in between. That is very substantial damage in between each ability. So, noxious breath, light attack with the venomous claw, heavy attack, light attack, D-swing, heavy attack into elite. Why heavy attack on the off balance? Not only for the stun, but it's resource sustain. And when you look into your two-hander passives, you get 10% more damage done. So you get the off balance extra damage and the heavy attack extra damage. Of course, when you get a kill with your two-hander, you get 30% more stam recovery. We're using Maul, so ignores 20% of the physical resistance. So for tankier targets, you're getting more. When you heavy attack and there's multiple enemies around, like I said with the Noxious Breath, you just hit 3 of those people with a Fracture and a Poison Dot. Then you heavy attack one of them into a Venomous Claw. That heavy attack is going to proc off on 3 other nearby enemies. That your light attacks are hitting all 3 of those people for 50% of the damage of the target that you're aiming at. So, it really comes in handy. Now let's say we don't have our ult, right? What are we gonna do? Still gonna follow up with your main target combo into a heavy attack venomous claw. You're just gonna keep light attacking. Light attack D-swing, light attack D-swing. Everybody hates it, but that is your main spammable. We don't have another spammable like jabs or anything like that. Light attack D-swing. And you look at your D-swing, 13,000 damage, sets them off balance for 7 seconds. Hitting an enemy that is already off balance stuns them for 2 seconds. While they are stunned, you're going to hit them with that third one, and it's going to snare them by 40%. So you're locking them into this combo pretty much, unless they have snare removal. Not a lot of people are running snare removal, in my opinion. I really don't have a problem landing my D-swings right now. So we're just light attack Noxious Breath, heavy attack Venomous Claw, to a as soon as I see them hit 40%, starting to execute. Normally people start roll dodging. They're roll dodging a lot. Then you still have your leap up, try to hit them with the leap. It's AoE. If you see, like, say a Nightblade, for example, you hit him with the Noxious Breath, and he wants to go back invis. Re-Noxious Breath him, stay on top of him. It's an AoE. Keep bringing him out of invis. He'll run out of Magicka. I promise you will outdo him trying to go invis with your Noxious Breath. Look at the stam cost on that. Then someone make a Nightblade and go and try and, especially a Stam Blade, and trying to recloak and look at your bar and how much it costs. Go invis. You're gonna win that fight if they're just trying to hide from you. Just make sure after every time that you engage a target, or say the fight lasts too long, or whatever it may be, you're keeping your buff rotation up. If you're sitting there fighting on someone and you just killed him and another guy's engaged you, go ahead and plant your dots. Go back into your buff rotation. Let them tick off for a minute. Your Venomous Claw is only going to get stronger. Replant that into a D swing, into an execute. If, say, you run into a Sork and a bow gank build, for example, that's why I use Shield Wall, or Spell Wall is what it's called. You're getting hammered by all that. Go into your defensive rotation. If you have your Spell Wall up, pop that, and it's going to stay up even on your two-hander bar. It's going to reflect everything back, and it's whatever it doesn't reflect, it's going to reduce the damage with block. So it allows you to go offensive and hit them with the dots into a D swing execute. Then when they sling that crystal frag, God help them if they're using Malakath on their build and they nuke themselves, you're about to win that fight. Now if you do, as I stressed in my build video, want to use Camouflage Hunter, it is going to improve your damage whenever you hit them on the flank. So let's say that's how you want to run it. Some of them do run it this way. Same thing. Spam, spam. That's all you're gonna do. Very simple. I think what a lot of people tend to get lost on though is the defensive rotation. If you've got a roll dodge, roll dodge. You see there's a Stam Warden lining up on you, something like that. You know, you can see the little dot at his feet. Go ahead and roll dodge it or roll through him. I teach a lot of my people in my guild to, if they can see something, just roll through them. It'll take longer for them to reacquire target rolling through them right behind them. And they'll miss that shot and allows you to turn around, land that D-swing into a take flight, and nuke them. If you're toe-to-toe with someone, say it's another Stam DK, there's very little things like that will improve your DPS, improve your survivability and gameplay. And it's things that you wouldn't really think of or don't practice. Maybe you're PvE and you just don't think about it. But whenever you're up in someone's face and stuff like this, say your dots are already planted in and I'm trying to land my D-swings, I'll sit there and keep having their back, keep moving. Be unpredictable. Especially when people are trying to keep moving and stuff. When they keep trying to roll dodge. Keep hitting them with the Noxious Breath. They're roll dodging repeatedly. That raw damage from them roll dodging and this still landing, it's gonna hurt. Trying to make sure there's nothing else to go over. I will stress this though. That's why I was talking about the heavy attacking into elite. Increasing damage done against off-balance enemies by 10%. So you're increasing your damage twofold whenever you heavy attack into a leap while they're off balance. That's 20% extra damage on your leap. If you choose to run like a bow build, for example, or maybe you want a little bit more into shattering blows of physical weapon expert, you can always use the tactician passive. I've used it in the past. Roll dodging and setting people off balance is just as effective. Off balance is stupid broken. You can really win some outnumbered fights because of off balanced. Another tip I'll go over. Where's the passive at? They find the passive. Thought it was in the physical, or in the green tree. No, it's in the red tree. Okay. Break free. How many times have you been stunned and you just didn't think about this passive? Next 5 seconds when you break free, your stam cost is reduced on your next stamina ability by 80%. I think that's a little thing, but 80% on something like shuffle. Let me pull it up. 3,000 stam cost. Or like vigor. Almost a 3,000 stam cost. That's huge in your stam sustain. When you're in outnumbered fights or you're in the thick of the fight, you're at half resources and you are constantly breaking stuns and hitting a vigor and going back into your heal rotation first. Break another stun mid-fight, hit that shuffle because you got stunned by a warden or something like that. Now you've mitigated their AoE damage and at a reduced cost. And you'll win that fight because you've got more resources. It's little things that'll improve your gameplay. And it's things that you gotta work on every time you're in Cyrodiil or BGs or in a duel. What we tend to stress in our guild anyway is just keep dueling people. Stress these little mechanics while you're dueling. May not seem like a lot, but those little mechanics that I just went over is key to every Xer's toolkit. You ask any person that X is out in Cyrodiil has, and by X I mean they face multiple people in outnumbered situations, whether it be solo or in a 2-man, 3-man group, 5-man group, and they're facing 20 people. They're using those little mechanics to the fullest extent of their group so that way they can kill all those people. And it's nitty-gritty stuff that turns people out of PvP in my opinion, because they don't understand the combos or how to utilize it versus PvE. It's a different ball game in PvP, but it's still a little of the same. That sounds confusing, but things like keeping your dot rotations up and buff rotations for PvE players, that's easy for them to remember. For PvP players, people who's only PvE'd, they let their buffs fall off or their dots fall off. For PvE players, what they might find annoying or hard to understand is spamming certain abilities or line of sighting, or, you know, utilizing some of those champion point passives, or the range and the radius of abilities, so that way you can optimize it against multiple people. But nonetheless, if you have any questions, just go ahead and hit me up on Xbox. My gamer tag on here is Storming Knight. I will be uploading this to YouTube. And if you want to catch me on Twitch, my name is Storming Knight on Twitch as well. I do have a Twitter. And if you like the content, go ahead and subscribe, comment down below. Hit that follow button on Twitch. Turn your notifications on so that way you can see every bit of new content that I roll out. Tell your friends if they have any StanDK questions. I have multiple build videos up here to guide you along your path to PvP. If you have guild members, send them this way. I'm trying to help everybody in the community. You want to see different content where you have a request for a certain class or a certain build on me to explain it, go ahead and comment down below and I'll upload it. Try to throw one together if I don't already have it thrown together, so that way you can fully understand.